speak to you today. I'm so excited to have about an hour we've got together, and we're going to have some fun. I'm going to tell a story. Who wants to listen to a story? Anyone like to hear a story? Okay. We're going to start off with a story, and then we're going to do a couple of little exercises together where we might have an opportunity to tell a story of our own. And then I'm going to give you some tips about being a good speaker, because I know that it's Speaking and Listening Week, and I know that my life has completely changed by being able to be a speaker. It's taken me all over the world. I've had incredible opportunities and stories. I've spoken in 20 countries. I've visited 50 countries. I've met so many amazing people, and I have friends all over the world. So let's just check in again. Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
Yeah? You want a story? Okay, let's go on to the story if this will work. We're all growing up and getting bigger, and we know little girls as well, of course. Before I start the story, I want to ask you a question. Who knows where Zimbabwe is? You know where, I guess by when I heard your accent that you know where Zimbabwe is. Do you want to tell us where Zimbabwe is? What's your name? Nina.
So Zimbabwe is located just above South Africa. Wow.
So in Africa. Okay, so this little boy, his name was Shamwari, which means friend. He was in Zimbabwe, in Africa. So now that we've heard where it is, would someone like to come and point on the screen where Zimbabwe is? Right, come and point to the screen and show us where Zimbabwe is. What was your name? Okay, point to it so everyone can see, so all your friends can see. This one here, that's Zambia and similar, but there's Zimbabwe. So this little boy was living in Zimbabwe, and his story all started with him growing up poor on a farm in Zimbabwe. He used to go to school with holes in the back of his shorts because his parents couldn't afford to buy him a proper pair of shorts. For dinner, most nights he would eat sadza, which is, you know what sadza is, or putu as they call it in South Africa, maize meal, like rice porridge with a little bit of gravy and vegetables, but that was pretty much what he ate because his parents couldn't afford to give him much more. He was a very, very shy little boy. He grew up on this farm, and when people came to visit, he would run into his bedroom and he would hide under the wooden bed until they left, and then he would come out. Very shy, quiet little boy. Any of you shy in the room? Anyone shy? Anyone feel shy? Yeah? I'm shy sometimes, even though me standing out here, you might think I'm not shy, but sometimes I'm shy, and it's okay to be shy. When he was young, he didn't like to go to school. Do some of us have days when we don't like to go to school? Yeah? I hope you don't do what this little boy used to do, because he used to sneak out in the morning. He used to go to school on a truck, a little pickup truck. He used to sit on the back of the truck and go to school. And he would sneak out to the car and he'd put nails under the tire so that they would get a puncture and he wouldn't have to go to school some days, or some days he'd be late. Don't try that trick in Bali because it's not good driving a motorbike with flat tires. But just to tell you that, like, you know, life was tough for him in some ways, but he loved to run. Any of you like to run? Well done, Samuel, you like to run. Miss Mary, Kira. Anyone else like to run? No? Like to play sport maybe? Yeah, lots of runners and sports people. So he loved to run, and even though he was poor in the physical sense, in terms of money and all that, he had this amazing life because he would see elephants, he'd travel around the country. Does anyone know one of the most famous things in Zimbabwe? What is it?
Riding an elephant.
Oh, what, sorry?
Riding an elephant.
Riding an elephant, yeah. He used to see the elephants. I'm not sure if he may have ridden the elephants, but one of the most amazing things in Zimbabwe is the Victoria Falls. Have you been to the Victoria Falls?
No.
One of the most beautiful and biggest waterfalls in the world. So he had all these amazing opportunities to travel around. And the point that I'm making there, that even though this little boy Shamwari didn't have lots of money, he had this incredible life. And sometimes in life we get caught up thinking, I don't have this, I want that, I need this, material things. and we miss out, particularly here in Bali, that we have an amazing life. So many beautiful people here in Bali, the rice fields, the volcanoes, the mountains, simple things to do. The waterfalls, exactly. Yeah. So sometimes it's really easy to get kind of caught up. I want this material thing, I want more money, but we lose sight of the fact that we have these amazing things that we can do which cost nothing. We as a family went camping last weekend up at a coffee plantation in Balanthi. And this is Sam, who some of you know, who's my son. Did you use your device over the weekend? How many times? Not once, because he didn't want his device. He was having so much fun harvesting the coffee and playing with the dogs and all his friends. So what I'm saying is that sometimes, even without money, life can be amazing. Apparently, as you saw there, he was a runner. He loved to run. And that ended up with him at his school organizing a fun run when he was only 16. And that track there, in the olden days when he was around, they used to run on what's called a cinder track. These days they run on rubber tracks, but there it was old, like literally cinder coals, and they would run on those. And all the cinder coals, all these things, had been washed off the track. So he got his friends together and he organized a fun run, like charity. Anyone been in a fun run? Yeah, Mary's been in a fun run, but there's fun runs happen all over the world, and sometimes they raise money for charity, but he decided that he wanted to raise money for the track, and he didn't realize that he would fall in love with organizing events, which were like his running, and it would give him this opportunity to travel all over the world, raise money for charities, and do all sorts of amazing things. Then he went to university in South Africa, where Nina's from. Whereabouts in South Africa? Johannesburg, yeah. He apparently went to university in Pietermaritzburg, which is near Durban, close to the coast. And he got 2 degrees, and he had this amazing opportunity to study. Anyone want to go to university when they finish school? Yeah? That's great, yeah? University can make a big impact on your life, but you don't necessarily have to go to university. I always think that the most important thing is to end up doing something that you love, that you feel is your purpose and you're passionate about. And this little boy was so lucky that he ended up organizing events all over the world. And he ended up organizing events with all these events in different countries for over 1 million people over a period of time. He had so many, 1 million people, it's a lot, isn't it? Not all at once. Some of them 10,000 here, some of them 50,000 here. One of them was in Singapore at the Singapore Marathon. 60,000 people in one event, and he organized all of that.
Bro, I can see the picture right there.
That's huge, huh? And who knows the Olympics? Who likes to watch the Olympics? Yeah? He even worked on the Olympics when it was in Australia. Amazing opportunity. He had all this little boy who'd grown up on a farm, poor in Zimbabwe, ended up in Australia working on the Olympics and traveling all over the world. So I'm going to ask you, where do you think this little boy is now? Anyone got an idea?
Singapore?
Singapore? You think he's in Singapore? Where do you think he might be?
You?
In Bali?
In Bali. Well done, Ryland. Well done, well done, well done. So, this little boy is me.
Wow.
Now a big boy and a much older boy, here in Bali with my beautiful son Sam and my wife Tet. And so lucky to be here to have this opportunity to share my story with you. So, now that I've been found out, you're very smart picking that out. Anyone else thought it might be me? No one else? Yeah, Mary thought, yeah.
Hold on, wait, in the first slide, I saw like the C and the R for them.
Okay. The C and the R, you got that. That's right. Yeah. That's pretty clever. So that's me. I'm now lucky to be an author, a speaker. I travel all over the world, as I said, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Mass Participation World. So this is my book that I published about 5 years ago, which is now recognized as a Bible for organizing big events around the world. And it's taken me, so for example, in the next few months, I've been invited to speak in London in June and in Sweden in September. And I have this amazing opportunity. And part of that is because of my running and my career there. But a lot of it is because I was lucky that I got taught the skill of being able to speak. and it's given me this incredible opportunity. And so the company that I founded in 2015, and I now run, is a company called Mass Participation World. And that's a global company that brings together what we call the mass participation industry, which is marathons and triathlons and obstacle races and all those kind of things. And what I really love about my job is it gives me the opportunity, my purpose and my passion is helping to make people healthy. So by putting on all these events, I help to make people healthy, and I also raise millions of dollars for charity, not directly, but through this amazing industry around the world to help the lives of other people. So I'm very lucky that my job is so aligned to my purpose. So what I'd love to do now is play a little game. Anyone like to play a little game? We okay to play a game? Yeah? You want to play a game? Sammy, you want to play a game? Okay. And the way the game's got, and I think we've got some little bits of paper there, if we can hand those out, and I'm going to ask you just to get together in pairs. So 2 people here. Actually, wait, I'm going to show you the game first, and then I'm going to make the pairs. Has anyone got anything in their pocket that they'd like to give me to use for my story?
No idea.
Okay, here we go. Here's something here. Okay. So, who did I get this from? What's the lady's name?
Anastasia.
This came from Anastasia, yeah? And what is it?
Pen.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah? You sure it's a pen, or should we get creative? Is it maybe a magic wand? Could it be? Yeah? So you think it's a pen? Okay. So it came from Anastasia and it's a pen. Where did it come from?
Factory.
From a factory?
Obvious.
Did it come maybe out of Anastasia's bag? Or did it fall out of the sky? No?
Okay, maybe in the factory, better bag, and then her hand.
Okay. So we think it came from a factory and then it ended up in her hand. And then why is it here? Why is it in the classroom?
Because she brought it.
She brought it here. Okay. And when did she bring it here?
Just about 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago. Is someone else going to join the story? When do you think it came in? Anyone else got any other ideas of when it came?
Today when she arrived.
Today when she arrived. Okay. And how did it get here?
She got it from a store.
Uh-huh.
And then she put it in the bag, and then came here.
And then she brought it here. Okay. So that's just a little framework that I want to give an opportunity for us to have. So we've got some pieces of paper, and I'm going to ask you to pair up quickly, and then we'll just do a little bit of storytelling between us. Yeah? Yeah? So pick.
Do you like it? So, where did it come from?
From a store in, I think, Pakistan called Strawberry.
Strawberry. What's the name?
Why do I like this?
This is fascinating. Nina is wearing this necklace because it's a gift from her mom.
How?
Yeah. So, when do you get it? Did you get it? So,
So I got it about a week ago. How did this necklace get here? How did the necklace get here?
how did the necklace get here? So, you can see Nina is wearing this necklace, and this necklace got here on Nina's neck. And what's the most beautiful thing I've heard, that this necklace, I would like to ask this question because it's a wonderful question, a wonderful answer. How do you feel wearing this necklace?
I feel very loved because my mom got it for me to symbolize the values relationship.
Aww, this is the announcement.
Story.
Thank you. Maybe you have any questions?
Any questions? No? Thank you for sharing that. That was such a wonderful story. Thank you. Let's pretend this is a stage and I step out of here today and know that I've given something to someone I've achieved something, and that helps me deal with my nervousness. And also sometimes if you're standing in front of a big group, and like I say, I've spoken in front of thousands of people, it can feel quite scary. And one of my techniques, and I've been so lucky to have lots of mentors that have helped me along the way, and one of the things I got taught is to find a friend. Find a friend in the audience, yeah? So Mary just smiled and nodded her head at me, so I connect with Mary. So when you're standing, don't look at the person that's sitting in the front with their arms folded and say, they don't want to listen to me, they don't want to be here, they're bored. Look at the room, find a friend. Anastasia's beautiful smile. Connect. That gives you energy. Who believes in energy? Energy going backwards and forwards, yeah? Take the positive energy and it comes towards you. And that helps you to be calmer, yeah? And we'll talk about some other things. Sammy's got a great tip. Sammy's about to be in his 4th musical, yeah? He was training for Encanto at the moment, right, you? Yeah, 10 weeks to go. And what was the last play you were in? Yeah, and what was your role in Beauty and the Beast? What? Okay, Sammy's being a little shy, which is okay. So tell us, remember the tip that we gave you the very first show that Sam did? He was terrified. He said to me afterwards, he said, Daddy, I was closing my eyes because I didn't want the tears to come out, but I'm so proud that I overcame my fear. And what was the little tip that I told you when you stand on the stage to make you feel less nervous?
Pretend everyone is wearing underpants so you're not scared of the arm.
Did you hear that at the back? Pretend that everyone's sitting in their underpants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. that was a trick that was taught to me. Yeah. So there's lots of little things that you can do to take away your nervousness.
It's a very old saying. I've heard that before.
You've heard that before? Yeah. Okay, so there we are. That's the picture that goes with nervous. Nervous is actually okay as long as you don't let it overwhelm you. And when you go out, remember that sometimes other people in the room might feel just as nervous as you are. Yeah. So does that help you? If you're getting nervous, or there's some tips there that you might be able to use next time you have to speak, even if it's front of the class. And sometimes some people get nervous just having a conversation. Yeah. So I might meet you in the street, and it's like, wow, I'm getting nervous. Yeah? Focus on your breathing and know that the other person might feel a little bit nervous because I'm scary and you're sitting down. So, no, I'm pretending. But yeah, just recognize that so often it's not just about always standing on a big stage or standing in front of people. Everything that you learn as a speaker applies in everyday life. We're in conversations in the classroom, we're in conversations when we go into a restaurant. Who might be shy in a cafe or a restaurant asking to go up and order or asking the waiter to bring their food? Yeah, that's natural. Some people feel like that, yeah? So just take a deep breath, focus on what it is that you want to ask, and recognize that you might not be the only one that's nervous in the situation. Contact. Yeah, and have you noticed while I've been speaking to you, I've been looking around the room. Yeah. How does this look? Hello, how are you? What's your name? What's your name? Is your name? I think I can see your name there. Is your name Kira? Yeah. Hello, Kira. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good. Hello. What's your name? Nina. Are you okay? Hi, Nina. How are you? Having a good time? How did those two feel? Which one felt the best? The best one. Yeah. So again, I understand sometimes if you get nervous, it's very easy to look down. And what happens when you're looking down? You roll your shoulders, your breath doesn't go all the way down into your diaphragm, you sweat like I am now. That's not because I'm nervous, that's because of the air conditioning. But yeah, you stand up, you open up, you look people in the eyes. You're probably mostly in this part of the room, here. Too young for it at the moment, but what happens when you toast? I'm sure you've had a fun toast with your parents. Shall we pretend that this is a glass of wine? Cheers, crossed. We look in each other's eyes. So, crossed. Cheers, cheers. Yeah? Make eye contact, connect, genuine. Yeah? So eye contact is so important. Thank you. Is this beer or wine?
I think it's
whiskey.
soda.
So, yeah, that eye contact can be so powerful both ways. And you saw me when Miss Mary was smiling and I said hello, we made eye contact. If I wasn't making eye contact with her, I probably would have missed that. And that was something that makes you feel confident, because when they connect with you, it's kind of like, yeah, you're doing good. So if you're feeling that it might be a little bit confronting, I said in the beginning, find a friend. So step up onto the stage, make eye contact with one person. In most instances, they'll make eye contact back with you. And then you're starting to build a rapport, and then you move around and you make eye contact with someone else. But when you're out the front of the classroom, when your teachers, and there's some of the teachers here, do they look down at the floor when they're talking to you? Yeah? Do they look up at the ceiling or at the wall? They look at you, don't they? And they don't always just look at one. They might look at one when they're speaking, and then they move and speak to another and another and another. That eye contact is so powerful. And again, I'm saying it's not just if you're speaking in public, but if you meet someone in the street, we're all shy. Sometimes it's easy to say, well, I feel a little bit not too confident here, but try and remember to lift your head, because it gives up such an amazing different energy when you lift your head, even though you may feel shy and it may feel a bit confronting to start with. Does that make sense to everyone? Is that helpful? Yeah? Some thumbs up? Give me a thumbs up if you like that idea. Right. Okay. So there we are. Look at that kind of... Whose eyes are those?
Eye contact.
Eye contact. Okay. So I started today by telling a story. Did you enjoy that story? Yeah. You don't have to say yes if you didn't, but did you really enjoy the story? Yeah? Okay. And we all have a story, and sometimes it's about your own story, or sometimes it's making up a story, and that's what I tried to get you to do in that exercise. And sometimes it's okay to be creative. I'm not saying go and tell lies when you tell a story, but most of those stories were, I got this and I came here and I got there. And I tried to say, well, what if the pen fell from space and all those? You have this opportunity to be a bit creative speaking and add to your story and make it fun. Sorry?
Comedians like dramatizing stories.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well done. That's great. Yeah. So add some color to the story. My story that I told you in the beginning, I pretended it was another little boy, and then I took you on that little journey, and it brought you, and I'm sure many of you were thinking, who's this boy? Where's he come from? He's from Africa. Is he black? Is he white? Is he, where did he go to school? Where did he do all these things? And so all these stories help to draw the audience in when you're telling them. And what I'm saying is, we all have amazing stories. It's not just me that has a story going back to Zimbabwe. None of you grew up in Zimbabwe, you grew up in South Africa. But you've all got amazing stories, and having the courage to share your story is really powerful. So many people that I've seen on a stage telling the story of their lives inspires other people. Does that make sense? Who's heard some inspiring stories? Yeah? Maybe not on a stage, on watching on YouTube or something like that, yeah? All heard inspiring stories. That's their real stories, because most people have overcome adversity in some way. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I've already told you one. Does anyone recognize anyone in that picture? No?
At the back.
Look carefully. Yeah.
And who's at the back?
So has anyone heard of Richard Branson? No. Yeah? Okay. So Richard Branson is one of the most wealthy people in the world. Has anyone heard of Virgin Airlines? Has anyone heard of Virgin Galactic, the space ship that went up recently? Has anyone heard of Virgin Records? Maybe not, because that was quite a long time ago. Anyway, so Richard is one of the wealthiest men in the world, and this guy in the back here is the poor little boy that grew up in Zimbabwe. Okay, that's me. Okay, and again, to share, not to brag about the fact that I'm playing tennis with Richard Branson, but I had this amazing opportunity 5 years ago, literally 2 weeks ago, to fly with a group of entrepreneurs from all over the world to spend 5 days on his private island in the Virgin Islands. Yeah? And I had the opportunity to play tennis as his doubles partner. Do you think I was nervous? Put your hands up if you think I was nervous. Put both your hands up, because I was very, very nervous. So, he gives me the ball and says, you serve first, Chris. So I wind up, and I'm not a great tennis player, and I wind up my serve and whack! Where do you think the serve went?
Behind you.
Over the tree?
Yeah?
It's like
Into the back of Sir Richard Branson's head.
No way.
Yeah? He was standing right here at the net as my partner, and I whacked. So isn't that a great way to introduce yourself to a good human? I bet you when I meet him in 10 years' time, I'll say, Sir Richard, remember your tennis partner who hit you on the back of the head with the tennis ball? He'll say, you. Okay? So he'll remember me. And so the next shot, I now go nervously to play my next serve, and I can't find him anywhere. There he is, hiding behind the net, because he's a bit of a joker. He's got a reputation for being a larrikin, as we call it. Okay? So I've just told you another story. When I come to you tomorrow and say, what was the name of the guy that I met? I could have just said, I went to the Virgin Islands and I met Sir Richard Branson. But now I've told you a story of playing tennis and hitting Sir Richard Branson on the back of the head. You will probably remember that much more than if in my talk I'd said, I was so lucky I went to the Virgin Islands, I played tennis with Richard Branson. Yeah, does that make sense? So always try and tell some stories if you can. It doesn't have to be all about stories, but the power of storytelling is amazing. This is a really important one. Next slide, please. Is letting go of mistakes. We all make mistakes every day of our life, whether we're on the stage or off the stage. I'm much older than all of you in the room. I make mistakes every day, and they all provide incredible lessons. So what I'm saying in the sense of speaking, there were mistakes, but we had some challenges, didn't we? The computer went down a couple of times, and you can get all flustered and say, oh, it's not working, or I said the wrong thing. But it's okay. We're all human beings. We all make mistakes. And in fact, what so often happens, if you get up the front and you try to be perfect, sometimes people don't relate to that. I know speakers who get paid tens of thousands of dollars will purposely make a mistake in their presentation because it brings people into them, because people can often relate. No, is there anyone here who's had a perfect life? Anyone? Oh, I must be the only one. Okay, so no one's had a perfect life. We all make mistakes. Even me. You saw how my life started out. Yeah. But it gave me this amazing opportunity. Some people see that as imperfect. I see it as perfect and amazing. I've had this incredible opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean until now.
Up till now, yeah. Yeah, thank you. So what I'm saying is, if you are speaking, whether it's a little group like this or a big group, and something goes wrong, just let it go. Oh, I made a mistake. I saw one speaker told a joke, and not one person in the room laughed, and there were hundreds of people there. I said, pardon my language, I said, that was a crappy joke, wasn't it? And everybody laughed. Yeah? Okay? So, I can't remember the joke. But what I'm saying is that they acknowledged that it was, oops, they prepared and planned to tell this joke, and the joke went wrong. accept it. Yeah, yeah. One of the biggest things I say, and I mentor a lot of people, is own your mistakes. We all make mistakes, but when you deny it and say, I didn't do that, someone else did it, it was someone else's fault. I came here today, and I'd like to be prepared. I wasn't properly prepared. Thank you for Mary, because I ended up with her adapter because my one didn't fit, and my computer couldn't plug into here. That was my fault. I should have been better prepared. Yeah? So you own your mistakes and accept them. Standing on the stage, I said something, oh, the slide deck's gone wrong. And sometimes that happens. And it's like, oh, the slide's broken, or, oh, that's a terrible slide, it shouldn't be here, let's move on to the next one. But try not to let it, and if it happens to you, remember when I'm standing here, try and cast your mind like, oh, I'm having a terrible time here, something's going wrong. Oh, Chris told me it's okay, we all make mistakes, yeah? And then you move on, you smile like the people in the back of the room are doing, and you move on to the next one. Does that make sense? Yeah, is that helpful? Yeah? Okay, and then the next one, oh no, back one. Okay, is what I'm saying is simple decks. And go on to the next one, please, Sam. So you've seen my slide deck today, my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, good pictures. Does anyone know what this is?
No.
Boat.
No?
Does it look like a boat?
It's what, sorry?
Does it look like a boat?
Yeah, well done, Samuel. But it's a boat that goes on the road. It's called an amphibious or amphibian. So that's in Singapore, and it's called the Singapore Duck Tour. So you get on it in the street, and it drives all the way around the streets, and then it goes into the harbour, and you go across Singapore Harbour, and then it drives out the other side. The Army and the Navy use these in many countries in the world, and they've turned them into that. But I'm just using that as an example to say, if you're doing slide presentations when you're speaking, there's two reasons why you don't put a lot of words on. One is, if I had 100 words on that slide, how big would they be? About this big. Do you think you'd be able to see them in the back of the room? Probably not. But even if I had 30 words on there, would you be watching me, or would you be trying to read the words while I'm speaking? What would you be doing? Hands up for those that would be reading. Yeah? Hands up for those that would just be looking at the picture. You're an expert, aren't you? No. I think you're going to come and speak next. No? Well done, Rylan. Yeah, so what I'm saying is get that balance right, get some nice, and I'm very lucky that my wife Ted is a graphic designer and she does my slides for me. But really clear slides, and I know as you go through school you're going to make slide presentations, simple images and a few words, and use them as prompts. Have you noticed as I go through every slide, I've got a story to tell or a way to speak about that. So what I really use, I use my slides to help chart my journey as I'm speaking. It keeps me on track, and it also gives me the opportunity to tell the story more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So nice, bright, clear images and maybe 5 or 6 words, but maximum 1 line. And then the bonus tip. So I said 5 tips. I'm giving you 1 more. Smile and have fun. Okay? It's all about enjoying it. If you're going to be standing up here feeling terribly nervous and hating it, it's not fun for you, and the audience feel it as well. Do your teachers feel like they're having fun most of the time, except when you're screaming and not listening? Yeah? If your teachers came and said, oh, this is a horrible job, I hate this, this is the shoulders down. How much fun do you have in that situation? None, yeah? But if the teacher's having fun, I've had great fun today, I love doing this, and hopefully you felt that fun and you've had fun as well. Anyone had fun? Oh, good. You don't have to. You don't have to say yes at the heart, but good that you've had fun. Sammy, thank you. Okay, so I think we've got, I'm not sure which clock is right, but we've maybe got a few minutes. It's this one.
That one is going too fast.
That's the one that you like to go home on. And this is the one that the teacher likes to go home on. Yeah? So,
No, we usually go on that one.
okay. Is there anyone after that that would like to come up and tell a story for a couple of minutes? It can be their story about how they grew up with, how they came to be. It can be any story they want. No pressure. But is there someone that would like to come up and spend 2 or 3 minutes just telling a little story using some of those prompts? Want to tell a story? Yeah, come on. Well, bless you.
My story is about is a bracelet, my own bracelet, but not just any bracelet. It's a symbol of a Christian, my own religion. It's a gift that I have in the store from my own uncle. Or he gave it to me so I can talk to God whenever I want. And yeah, I can hear from the window he speaks in his own language. And he helped me we take advice for the future at any cost. Whenever I feel down, I always have him on the way. I can feel his presence. Somehow. That's all.
I want to say a few things there. Firstly, I want to say thank you for sharing your story. Secondly, I want to say congratulations for having the courage to stand up here in front of people. And thirdly, and probably the most important part of your story, I want to thank and acknowledge you for being vulnerable. Yeah, sharing it from your heart. Because sometimes people tell stories and they think they have to be all shiny and perfect, but they're not prepared to come from their heart and tell the story. I could go and tell my story and say, I'm a successful businessman and I've been all over the world and I've met Richard Branson. But the part that people love the most is that I used to hide under my bed when I was a little boy. And I used to be scared. And I used to go to school with holes in my pants because my mom and dad couldn't afford to buy clothes for me. And that I used to eat sudza and relish. That's what resonates with people much more, that kind of honest vulnerability, and I really want to shake your hand again, because that was incredible. Well done. So, this has just been incredible for me. I've so enjoyed it, and we've got 5 minutes on that clock there. So, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask about speaking, about my life, about any tips they want, anything that you want to ask? I'm very happy to take questions.
Yes, I would like to ask you about your voice, because your voice is incredible. So you are loud, it's like amazing. Did you work on it? Like what?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, look, I think the honest answer is I'm lucky. I've got a powerful voice, but I have worked at trying to moderate it. And I could have given you 20 tips today on how to be a speaker, and I was conscious of focusing on the 5 and the bonus. But one of the ones I had thought about putting on there was voice, tone, and pitch. So alternating it, speaking loud to make a point, talking softly is a great way to get people's attention. So I've been speaking quite loud now. This is quite an amazing thing. And what do you feel about what we just did? Instantly you get people's attention when you start talking softly, or changing it the other way. And often in life, we do it the other way around, don't we? Sam, stop doing that! Yeah? But how often as parents and teachers, when we want to get attention, we go that way, when sometimes, I can see what you're doing there, stop doing that. Sometimes it works, it gets attention, But changing, it doesn't really matter. You learn as you speak more, and I've been lucky to have, another powerful thing which I recommend in life generally, speaking and other things, is to have mentors. I'm lucky that I have some incredible mentors. When I wrote my book, I had a mentor to help me with that. I have a mentor with my speaking. In fact, I've got a call with him tomorrow because I'm about to start writing my second book, and I've got a planning call with him. But to have those mentors that can help you and teach you, and I do that for younger people. I love mentoring people and helping them on their journey. So and I think this is a really good point while I'm here, is that so often people think that, oh, he or she won't mentor me, why would they want to mentor me? But often people that have been successful love to share what they've learned, because along the way, I wouldn't be where I am without the support and mentors that I've had. And I had an incredible man in my life who was my late father's brother. He passed away at 93 the other day, like 3 years ago now, yeah. But he paid for me to go to school at one time, he paid for me to go to university, and he was a mentor all the way through my life. Whenever I had a challenge, I could pick up the phone and speak to my Uncle Gordon, and he helped me in so many ways in my life. So, and people sometimes come to me and say, if there's any piece of advice that you would give to young people, what would it be? And my first thing is always get some mentors in your life. Yeah, whether that's your family, extended family, but mentors have played an incredible role in my life. Long way of answering your question, but certainly voice is important, and I'm lucky that I got bored with a powerful one.
You also worked on it.
I've worked on it, yeah. And I've had situations where I've lost my voice. I was going to be speaking in Singapore, and the day before I was due to speak in front of, I think it was 400 people, my voice was like that. And the tip that I got taught by one of my mentors was pineapple juice. So I literally stayed in my room and I drank pineapple juice all day, and pineapple juice helps to restore something. I mean, my mentor Andrew, he got to a stage once, he was torn a really important, he had to go and get a spray of steroids to get his voice back the day before, and that's not something that I would try to do, try and always do it naturally. But yeah, sometimes it happens. Yeah. Thank you for the question. You've got your hand up, Rylan?
My question was, what about stuttering? Take stuttering.
Yeah. Do you stutter? Yeah. Stuttering's okay. Yeah. Stuttering's okay. It's natural. It's natural. There's lots of famous people that stutter. There's lots of speakers that stutter. It's a matter of being comfortable with it and accepting it. And the way that some people deal with it is they might go and say, they might start talking and say, I stutter. Get ready for me to stutter. And that way, again, a way of overcoming those nerves, you've already acknowledged it. I used to get, I'm sweating today just because it's hot, but I used to have panic attacks where I used to sweat. And I would literally, every day, before I went off to a meeting, I would go to my wardrobe and I would choose what kind of shirt I'm going to wear, because if I was wearing a blue shirt, a light blue shirt, and I sweated, it would be so obvious. And I was at a lunch once and I had a sweat panic attack, and I was sitting at this lunch and it was so obvious to everyone in the room that my shirt was soaking wet. And what used to happen when those panic attacks came on, I used to stop them by literally accepting that they were happening. Oh, I'm having a sweat attack. And within 30 seconds it would disappear. So to be able to say, I'm so excited to speak to you today. I'm just telling you that I sometimes have a stutter. That puts you at ease. It makes you instantly vulnerable to them, and they will warm to you. So that would be the advice that I would give you. You can still tell a great story, but just put it out there to start with. I'm having a bad day today. Did I hide the fact that I was sweating? No, I said, I'm sweating. It's really hot. Look at my shirt. Yeah? I feel comfortable with that because I haven't tried to pretend that I'm ice cool and cold here and it's not happening. And that's a gift in a way that you've got. Every one of us in this room is different. And you have this ability to say, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to show you that I can speak even though I stutter. So you can speak as well, and you can speak as well. We all have challenges to overcome. Thank you for asking that question, and hopefully that's helpful for you.
I have a question.
Yeah, Samuel.
Were you embarrassed and then shy and nervous?
Yeah.
When you speak in public?
I've gone through all of that, and there's been times when I've made crazy mistakes and being embarrassed and then overcome it. So one day, I'll tell you another little story. I'm conscious of time, so tell me when you need to kick me out. I used to be in the Boy Scouts, and I got to very senior. I went overseas to an international scout jamboree in Switzerland, and we used to have these father and son dinners. And I was sitting at the table next to our chief scoutmaster, and all the other boys were in the room with their fathers, and I was to introduce the guest speaker. And I had a bit of a stomach ache, and my stomach was bloated, so I'd undone my belt while I was sitting at the table. And the scoutmaster turned to me and said, "Chris, it's time to introduce the guest speaker." And as I stood up, I felt my pants, they didn't fall down, it wasn't that embarrassing, but it made me nervous, and I introduced completely the wrong speaker. And I was like, oh my goodness, it was like, my scoutmaster said, "It's okay." And it was a lesson for me. I learned. So I have one of the keynotes, I deliver a number of keynotes, and one of my most popular keynotes is called The Gifts of Disaster. And I talk about some of the disasters that I've been involved in my life and the lessons. So it's the gifts of disaster from adversity to opportunity. And so I shared with you my story. I put on events for 60,000 people, and we've had rain and cancellations. We've had people die sadly from heart attacks in events. And all of those things have created enormous challenges, but every single time they've given me lessons that I've been able to apply in life. So was I embarrassed? Yes. Did I get nervous? Yes. Do I sometimes still get embarrassed? Do I make mistakes on stage? Absolutely. Yeah. And if you go onto stage speaking thinking you'll never make a mistake, then you're going to fall over at some stage. Yeah. Anything else? No?
I'm sure I feel we have more questions, but sadly we do have to.
Yeah, we're going to get everyone home to their parents. Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you for leading with vulnerability. It's spoken to me as a speaker, and I would talk a lot with the student leadership about learning and growing together. So I have been supposed to, so thank you for myself, and I can see that there's a lot of other things to learn. So thank you for your time, for your knowledge, for your generosity, and for your vulnerability. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks everyone. And if I can help in any way, just you know where to contact me. Yeah? Yeah.